Everyone has dreamed a time or two of finding buried treasure. But what if that treasure was right under your nose? Well, nationally known antiques appraiser and one of our favorites, Dr. Lori is back to give us her opinion on some value of some items that people brought into our studio. Welcome back. Love when you're here.
Nice to be here. Yes, I'm on the Curse of Oak Island, of course, as their artifacts appraiser on History Channel. And of course, I'm always trying to find the treasure. But your treasure's important. There's lots of treasure out there, okay? And I'm going to teach you how to do that. I'm going to teach you what you've got, what it's really worth. And let's start here. You want to start with Winnie the Pooh?
Absolutely.
Right? Because you have a little one at home.
I do.
Yes. And Winnie the Pooh, very important. So this particular piece was brought in, and it's actually signed also by Winnie the Pooh's very famous, of course, illustrator, Shepherd. And this particular piece, if you look through my loop here, and you see actually what, and I don't know if we'll be able to get it on camera, we'll try. Well, if you actually can see what I'm looking for. So I'm going to take a 10-time magnification loop. It's not anything fancy. You can get it at a camera shop or even, you know, a Walmart or a Lowe's or something. You can basically look at this and say, hey, you know, what's she looking for? I'm looking for consistent dots, because the little dots actually tell me that this is not an original drawing. This is actually a photograph of a drawing.
Oh,
I know.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, that's a sad representation, but you have to know how to properly identify it, so you have to know what to look for.
Dots.
I'm looking for little tiny dots, and they are basically indicative of a printing process that you see in gelatin silver prints and oftentimes on something called colotypes, okay? Those are cheap, inexpensive prints. It's a picture of a picture. And there's lots of these of famous works of art. If this were an original E. Shepherd, I'd be talking $5,000 original drawing. Oof. What am I talking? $100. I know. You have to know the truth. And the truth is what's going to make it important for you to be able to assess, what do we keep from grandma? What do we hand down to the kids? What do I want to collect that's in good shape for my new apartment if I'm a millennial, because they follow me a lot. Yeah, so, you know, all different types of things. You want to know what's what. Let's try with this.
Okay, and you're putting me to work here.
Putting you to work, Natalie. Open up that box. That little box almost separates and collapses. Do you know anything about that box?
It opens up, it completely collapses.
Completely collapses. Do you know why?
No, the slightest clue.
You're at your sewing machine with Mr. Singer, right? Oh. And that little box is holding your bobbins and your threads and your needles, and it all has to basically lay out like that. That is an accessory box for a Singer sewing machine circa 1915.
Oh, okay.
So everyone's going, we don't know what was in the box, and I look at the empty box and I know what was in it. That's called antique scene investigations. That's somebody who knows her stuff.
I'll say that is you. That is why you come on here and I do not.
Value on that particular piece is about $10.
Oh.
But it's old, so it might have been grandma's, so it might have this little sentimental value, right?
Yes.
And everybody's doing that ancestry, right? Searching. I do that with objects all the time. Yeah, interesting. Another interesting piece you have here, and you're all saying, tell me about the clock, Dr. Lori, tell me about the clock. I'm getting to the clock, don't worry.
She writes her own teases. That's why we love her.
This particular piece is a piece of Rosenthal crystal. When we think of Rosenthal, and we typically think of Rosenthal as being a ceramics or china company, and you can find a lot of good things at thrift stores. A lot of these things are oftentimes at thrift stores, and people pick them up for $1 or $2.
That's what I feel like. I've seen these many places before.
You've seen these many places. It is marked clearly Rosenthal. And the mark might be Swarovski, or the mark might be Orfors, or any of the very high-end crystal makers. This piece of crystal that you could get for $1 or $2 at a thrift store is probably worth $50. Ah, right. And it is solid crystal. It's heavy and it's clear. And people go, well, what do you mean? I want you to look for crystal. I want you to look for clarity, and I want you to look for weight.
Okay.
Okay? Because crystal, by definition, is at least 24% lead. That's why it's heavy.
That's why it's so heavy. Let me see, because I feel like you see these even like as, you know, paperweights and things.
Paperweights, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
About $50. But they show up in thrift stores. How many people are going, Dr. Lori, I want to follow you on your website or on your YouTube channel to teach me through videos about what I can shop for in the thrift store. How about clocks? You like the clock?
Which your YouTube is really getting popular too, you were pointing out. Yeah, I'm going to brag. I'm going to brag for a second. So check that out. But in the meantime,
we're here now. So this particular piece is a very good example of course, what's called faux, right?
I can't be good.
That's not good. Faux is fake, right? Faux cloisonné. So if you put your hand right here, if you put your finger right up here, Natalie, do this for me. Is it smooth?
No.
Is it smooth?
Yeah.
You sure?
I think so.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's pretty smooth. Right? If it were actual cloisonné, it would be little tiny textured
Now I
pieces.
see what you're talking about. Yes, now that is smooth.
This is faux cloisonne. If it's smooth, right, you might be feeling dirt.
And that's kind of where I was like, oh, is this a trick question, Dr. Lori?
No, never a trick question. You usually know the answer. Basically, what this is nicotine. This is from someone who was a heavy smoker. And you can tell that on paintings, it's that same yellow haze that you'll see on a smoker's fingers, or their teeth might be yellow. Same thing on antiques. It's hard to get it off, okay? So I always say, don't be overzealous cleaning.
Okay.
This piece is from China. It was made in China, but it is faux cloisonne. Original Chinese clocks like this would have real cloisonne. That means all these little tiny decorative elements would be little cloisons. You'd feel them, little tiny rocks, and basically that's what you see. The telltale sign here is actually when you open it up and you start to see the hand-painted porcelain, right? They're great ceramic makers in China. The hand-painted porcelain face and the hand-painted porcelain pendulum, okay? Now, we also have the key. The key increases value by about 25%. Don't lose the key.
Okay, don't lose the key. So what are we looking at?
Value on this is about $750.
Hey.
For the circa 1920s faux cloisonne clock. And it is working. If you're moving your clock or you're moving into a new home, I want you to remove the pendulum, make sure the clock is even. It's basically on a nice flat plane, and then of course, put the pendulum back, wind it 3 times, no more. Don't overwind, you won't have your clock.
Is there a how-to video on your YouTube channel with that? Because I would say that's a really good one.
Hundreds and hundreds of how-to videos of what to do. But be careful of this. This is a nice piece in good condition. Don't be overzealous cleaning it. Don't give yourself more cleaning to do.
I like that. And on that is a great time to end. Thank you so much for coming in. And don't worry, folks, she'll be coming back as well. There's her information on your screen if you have any questions for Dr. Lori yourself.